Immigration activists understand that their issue, protection for young people who are brought to the U.S. as children and ended up having families themselves and building lives here, that issue is at the heart of the budget showdown. But whether it needs to get dealt with tonight in order to keep the government open, that's no longer clear. Democrats want to deal with the immigrant issue now, and their Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer met with the president privately for an hour this afternoon.
We had a long and detailed meeting. We discussed all of the major outstanding issues. We made some progress, but we still have a good number of disagreements. The discussions will continue.
The president tweeted, "Excellent preliminary meeting in Oval with Senator Schumer. Making progress. 4-week extension would be best." Democrats might support a 4-week extension because it's short enough for them to regain the leverage of another shutdown threat in time to deal with the immigrant issue. But they'd rather get it done now.
If the president were to say, Congress, you stay in this weekend and you stay at the table until you have a final deal, and I know it's got to be bipartisan because it'll need Democratic votes in the Senate, and I will support a bipartisan deal. If he were to say that, that would be really, really helpful.
Shutting down the government doesn't really make any of them look particularly responsible.
It is my hope that the Senate will play its historic role, which is to be the grown-ups who sit down and try and help cooler heads prevail.
Andy, and we've reached the last-ditch efforts to try to avoid a shutdown tonight. We have Senate Democrats in an emergency meeting. We have the Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell scheduling a vote for 10 o'clock to try to end debate on the spending bill so that they can bring it to the floor for a vote.
So, Keith, for a lot of us here in Canada, an unfamiliar process. What is the significance of the vote?
Well, the vote that happens at 10 o'clock is a vote to try to end debate. So they need 60 votes for that. That's the critical vote. If they don't get it, then they can't even bring the spending bill to the floor for a vote. That would mean that a shutdown is all but inevitable.
And what about the Republican chances of winning?
Well, they need Democrat support on that, and they're likely to get some on their way to 60 votes if they can get there. But, while we can see they will get some, it's not clear at all that they'll get enough.
And if there is a shutdown of the government, does that come with a political price?
Well, Republicans have shut down the government a couple of times in the last couple of decades, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to say that they really paid a harsh political price for that. I think the whole institution, though, does pay a price for that because it just continues to look dysfunctional. It continues to look like a swamp that needs to be drained. And remember that Donald Trump campaigned as the guy who could fix all that, who could drain the swamp. So it doesn't look good for him either, particularly when you consider that Republicans hold both houses of Congress as well as the White House.
All right, Keith, I know you'll be staying up late tonight. We'll continue to follow this story as it unfolds before us. As Keith mentioned, the U.S. government has been shut down before, so Americans do have a good idea of what to expect if there's another one when they wake up tomorrow.
They're really screwing us up.
When there's not enough money to run the government, lots of functions described as non-essential suddenly stop. Almost 1 million federal workers, up to 40% of the public service, could be sent home.
It's tough. I mean, people are really dedicated to the park and serving the public.
Some national parks and museums would be closed to thousands of visitors. Passports, mortgage, and gun permit applications would all be frozen.
They're going to ruin our chances of getting our disability checks.
Military and veterans' disability checks might not be issued.
We fought for this. We paid our dues to have our disability checks and stuff on time.
But members of Congress would still be paid. The government has officially shut down 18 times since 1976.
In the absence of appropriations, the White House is involved in an orderly phase-down. No one is here to answer your call.
It's happened under both Democratic and Republican administrations. Some lasted just a few hours, but the 1996 shutdown under Bill Clinton lasted the better part of a month, the longest in history.
It is morally indefensible to hold needed government services and hardworking federal employees hostage in a political battle.
4 years ago, it happened again, triggered by a fight over Obamacare funding.
This Republican shutdown did not have to happen.